I got to Osaka and school started, and then September 11th happened. And I was around a really international student body for the first time ever. I was around people from all different countries who don't necessarily think America's the best country in the world. We went to a place to have beverages that night. I went with a guy from New York, and there was an Australian there, and he said, because America's the world's police. And I had never heard of or thought of that term before.
Hey there, and thank you for tuning in. We're excited to bring you another great conversation today. If you like the show and want to support us, please hit the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you great content week after week. And if you're feeling extra generous, give this video a like and share your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today we welcome Jenn in the studio. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited, actually.
You're a professional Mahjong player in the
Yes.
Japan Professional Mahjong League.
Right.
You wrote a book about Riichi Mahjong, which is a special variant of Japanese Mahjong.
It is Japanese Mahjong.
Yeah,
Japanese Mahjong's called Riichi Mahjong.
So we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your career here and dive a little bit into the game. But first, I want to find out a little bit about what brought you to Japan. You came here with the Seattle Seahawks cap. So I take it you're from that area in the United States. And you're a long way from home.
I mean, I was a long way from home. This has kind of become home now. So I came first actually to Osaka when I was 18 at Kansai Gaidai.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there for just one semester. So usually in university in America, you go to university and then you do exchange program from that university. But I was too eager to leave America. So I applied independently to the program. And I enrolled in University of Hawaii. But I just went abroad my first semester, which I think no one had ever done before.
That's interesting to enroll at the university in your home country, and before even setting foot in the university, you go abroad.
Yeah.
Is this like a easy thing to do, or did you have to go through like administrative loops to make that happen?
At University of Hawaii, it was pretty easy. University of Washington said I couldn't do it, and that was kind of the deciding factor for why I chose University of Hawaii. So University of Washington said I could defer my enrollment. But I wanted to be enrolled already, so yeah, we just did Hawaii. And they just let me transfer credits over, basically.
So you came at 18 to Kansai Gaidai here in Osaka, but why Japan?
I studied Japanese since I was 13. I did a homestay in Fukuoka when I was 16. And so I thought, I want to leave America. I should go someplace where I kind of know the language.
So you kind of had that interest already, and it kind of just grew over time. You had a language as well. What was it like for you then finally leaving America and coming here to live and study at university in Osaka?
It was really, let me think for a second. I think it was very different from what most people experience because I got to Osaka and school started, and then September 11th happened.
Oh.
So I was here in Japan when it happened, and a lot of people in America, like planes were not flying, and parents were like, maybe you should come home. And I was around a really international, student body for the first time ever as well. So I wasn't just experiencing that as an American. I was around people from all different countries who don't necessarily think America's the best country in the world. And it was my first, sort of eye-opening experience to that as well. I think we went to a place to have beverages that night. I was 18. And, I went with a guy from New York, and there was an Australian there, and he said, because America's the world's police.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never heard of or thought of that term before. So it was a very eye-opening experience to study abroad at 18.
Especially at a time like that.
Yeah.
What did you like so much about Japan that for you made you decide to kind of come back here and settle?
A big part of it was I had a boyfriend in Tokyo. So I did go back to Hawaii for 1 semester, and I found it really hard to make friends. Took me about 3 months, and by that time, I had already decided to transfer. I think about 2 months in, I said, "I don't think I can stay here." And so I decided to transfer and was putting in my applications, and I applied to Sophia University in Tokyo.
It's interesting because you write about that part of your story in your book a little bit, and you mentioned that it was difficult to make friends in Hawaii, but easy to make friends in Japan. The usual story we have, it's sometimes difficult to make friends in Japan at first until you speak the language and you're able to kind of break the wall. Why did you find it easy, or what did you find easy about making friends here?
Well, if you're in an international program at a university, everybody's new and everybody's trying to make friends. So you don't necessarily make friends with local people. You make friends with other exchange students. Um, we had like orientations, so nobody knows each other basically. So everybody becomes friends. And when you come as an adult and you're working, it's a little bit different, especially if you're like in an environment where you don't speak the language. My boyfriend was Japanese, from Tokyo, so we lived, um, a little bit away from the university. So I hung out with all of his friends. So it's very easy for me there. At University of Hawaii, I came in the second semester, and everybody already had their friends. I got the roommate that probably no one else wanted to live with, and that's why the bed next to her was open. And so, yeah, I didn't really become friends with her. Some of the other people I knew before going in were really busy with their studies and things like that. So I had to like navigate the groups that were already the cliques that were already in place.
So the decision to come back to Japan then was pretty obvious. You're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna stay here in Hawaii. I'm gonna go back to Tokyo where I have friends and figure it out there.
Yeah.
You're at university at the time. When does Mahjong come into play?
Mahjong happened. So I went to Sophia in 2002. In 2004, I was single, and the guy that I liked said I would probably like Mahjong. He was professional slot machine player, basically, kind of just starting out as a professional slot machine player.
There's such a thing as a professional slot machine
Yeah,
player?
Pachi slot, yeah, and pachinko.
Isn't that like a completely luck-based gambling game?
No, you can read the machine,
Really?
and they have settings, and there's certain ways you can read the machine, what the likelihood is of it paying out. Pachinko balls, you count how many balls go in the hole per 1,000 balls, I think. And then if it's above a certain threshold, then it's a payout machine. And if it's below a certain threshold, it's not.
I think we'll have to have a completely different podcast to talk about pachinko in Japan.
Yeah.
But that person who was a professional pachinko, pachi slot player, told you may like Mahjong.
Yeah, he had almost finished university. And so he was getting into pachi slot. So he said he was too busy to teach me Mahjong. But I used to play blackjack a lot in Seattle in high school. Because once you're 18, you could go to the card rooms. And so he said if you like blackjack, you'll like Mahjong better. Because I was learning like basic strategy for blackjack. And I decided that if he wouldn't teach me, then I would learn myself, and then maybe he'd play with me. So I went and bought a book and learned how to play, and I made flashcards with all of the yaku, the hand patterns, and I learned how to play.
Was this a difficult game for you at first? For someone who's never kind of gone into this, it's new. It's, I think, a game that comes originally from China with quite a bit of history as well behind it. Was it hard for you to kind of get into that?
The thing about Mahjong is it's difficult for everybody, and it doesn't become non-difficult.
Okay.
It's still difficult. If you go, the higher level you go. The thing is, it's a game of incomplete information, like poker. So nothing goes your way all the time. You can play perfectly and still lose. There's multiple ways to play perfectly. And there's always more things that you can read on the board and more clues you can get about other people's hands. So it was difficult at first, and it's still difficult now too.
What was it when you kind of first got into it? I mean, you wanted to play with him,
Mm.
but what was it that you liked enough to actually continue playing and kind of going down the rabbit hole of Mahjong?
I mean, that's the thing, the rabbit hole goes so deep.
Mm.
So no matter how much you practice and how much you learn, there's still something new you can learn. There's still another book that has ideas that you've never thought of before. There's still more pros that I can interview or bring in for hand analysis and learn something new from. I think there's no end to learning from Mahjong, which is good and bad, but it means it never gets boring.
So for someone who doesn't know the game, would you be able to briefly explain what it is about and what you need to do to win?
Okay, so 4 players. You each have 13 tiles in your hand. From those 13 tiles, you need to make 4 sets of 3 and 1 pair. So the final hand will have 14 tiles. That's because when you draw a tile, you have 14. You discard, so you have 13 again. So you're just drawing and discarding, trying to make these sets. It can be a sequence of 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or it can be 3 of a kind of the same suit. Once you have your complete hand, then you win, you go out, and then you get points depending on what patterns you have in your hand.
And so that will be like kind of one round, and then you kind of do multiple rounds.
Mhm.
When does the game end? Who wins?
So the first person to take their tiles on the deal is called the dealer or the
Mhm.
oya. Each person gets to be oya 1 time and then 1 more time. So we call the first round of oya east round, second round south round, and then the game is over. A lot of Chinese versions, they play west round and north round as well. We only play east and south.
So that's kind of the general idea of Mahjong. You meant Chinese, so it originally came from there.
Yeah.
But now Japan has its own way of playing. It's called Riichi Mahjong.
Mhm.
When did it come here, and how different is it from the original game?
Well, Mahjong came to Japan around the same time that it was really gaining popularity all over the world. So 1920s, 1930s around. When it first came to Japan, it was actually different rules, and it sort of evolved into this Reach Mahjong. American Mahjong also went to America in the 1930s and became American Mahjong, and they have completely different hand patterns and rules.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably the most different from the Chinese version, but still uses the same tiles. They made their own designs and things like that. But I also went to Europe, and Europe had a Chinese Mahjong population, and then later they got a Reach Mahjong population as well. What am I supposed to answer again? Sorry.
How different is then the Japanese version? Because
Japanese and
that's the
Chinese,
one
okay.
that you
Yeah.
got into and that is being played here in Japan. What's unique about that version of the game?
Okay, yeah. So American Mahjong is very, very different. Reach Mahjong is more similar to the Chinese version. And actually, Reach Mahjong has started to gain popularity in China and Taiwan
Okay.
and Hong Kong. Hong Kong has its own Reach League. So the biggest differences are you have to line up your discards, which is also true in like Chinese official rules, but not the casual rules that people play at home and stuff. There's also a lot more strategy because there's a missed win rule. We call it furiten. Means if you've discarded a tile that you can win on, then you're no longer allowed to win from someone else's discard for the whole hand. You can draw your winner yourself, but you can't win on someone else's hand. So those are the biggest differences. And reach. Reach is a hand where if your hand is ready and you haven't called any tiles from other players, because you can say pon and take a tile from another player.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't done any of that, your hand is completely concealed, and you just need 1 more tile to win, you can say reach. It's like saying Uno, basically. I need 1 more tile to win. If you say reach, you can no longer change your hand for the rest of until somebody wins or until the next hand. So you can just draw and discard until you win, and that it's like an extra bet, and it also means you can't change anything, so it's a risk. You might end up dealing in somebody else. You can't play defense anymore.
Do you need to say it if you're in that situation? So it's basically you get a chance at making more points, but also you will affect how other players may kind of discard theirs. Even though they don't know what you have, they might start thinking, oh, he only needs 1 more, so maybe that'll change things.
Exactly. You don't have to say it. It does give you more points, like you said. Also, you need a hand pattern in Reach Mahjong to win. A lot of Chinese versions don't require any certain pattern. You just need all the shapes correct. in Riichi Mahjong, you need some sort of value in your hand. So you need points in your hand.
Mhm.
If you don't have points in your hand, you can't win, even if you have all the shapes. So if you have no points in your hand, you can say reach, and that gives you 1 point. So there's 2 important ways to use it.
So you said there's 2 rounds during which each of the 4 players gets to be dealer once. The East and South rounds. And so that means you play 8 times. At the end of those 8 dealings, how do you know who wins? How do you kind of count the points? Is it the one who won the most rounds that wins automatically, or?
No, it's all about the value of your hands. So if you discard my winning tile, I only take points from you.
Okay.
If I draw my winning tile, I take points from everybody.
So it is kind of like in poker, we all have, let's say, $100 to start with, and we invest and we gamble our money, and you take the win if you win, and you lose it if.
Right. So we have points.
Mhm.
We use point sticks. We don't gamble. I have to make that clear. And we just have point sticks, and we do a running total for those 8 hands. Now, if the dealer wins a hand, they get to be dealer again. So there could be more than 8 hands. It could be 10 or
I
12
see.
or 14 hands.
Okay.
And then you keep a running total of the points, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. And you get certain bonuses. If you're first place, you get a 20-point bonus. If you're second place, a 10-point bonus. Third place, a 10-point penalty, and fourth place, a 20-point penalty. Or there's different values for that depending on which rules you're playing.
So the game is not only about getting the 4 sets of 3s and the 1 pair. You also need to consider, okay, is a set of 3 going to bring me more points than the other one? And play this out throughout the game.
And that makes a lot of different styles, because you can go speed, where you go for smaller hands, but you win more often. Or you can go for bigger hands, where you don't win as often, but you get more value when you do win.
So some players will, for example, keep and discard the tiles as fast as possible just to complete the set, and others will be willing to take more risk and wait longer to get something that will just bring them more points if they get to complete it, but may not if they actually end up losing because someone closes in first.
Yep, and you can also fold your hand. You can discard only safe tiles and decide, I don't have a chance to win anymore. That person looks like they have a really expensive hand or a really fast hand, so I'm just going to make sure I don't discard their winning tile.
So a game that opens a lot of possibilities. You said it's an endless rabbit hole of strategies, ways to play the game, and you get started with this. You learn the rules, and you go back to your friend who told you might like it. Do you get to start playing with him?
I think I played with him 3 times total before he got a girlfriend and stopped hanging out with me. But by then I had made other friends who played. And I had joined like a club with a lot of other university students. And one of them had an older sister who was a professional Mahjong player. He introduced me to her. So I was playing pretty much every day at that point, even though it wasn't with that guy.
So how big of a community is this? You mentioned you joined a club. You had other students at the university. In your book, you talk about Mahjong parlors. How many people play this? Is it common to find? Can I walk down the street and maybe find a parlor and find people that I can play with?
Yeah. I mean, we're in Osaka. So Osaka, you're going to find a lot more 3-player Mahjong.
Okay.
But the parlors are all over the place. There's more 4-player Mahjong now. I think when I started, it was almost exclusively 3-player Mahjong. In Osaka only. So much so that Osaka people used to be like, what, you play Mahjong with 4 players? And everywhere else it was the opposite. So now there's a lot more 4-player Mahjong in Osaka. When I started, I think the estimate was around 10% of the Japanese population played Mahjong.
Wow, that's like 12 million people.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
I think, and it went down after I started. But now with the new M League that started in 2018, it's going up again. It's really popular again.
Cool. So people of all ages are kind of joining Mahjong clubs.
Yeah.
You said it was important to specify you don't gamble.
We don't
it's
gamble.
A game. It's like a board game. And there's a league where you win a prize if you win the championship, but it's not gambling money on the table like you would with poker, the example I used before.
Yeah, so actually when I started, it was really hard to not gamble. all the parlors, any parlor that you just walked into, they played for money. It was very small stakes, so it was overlooked. But that was just something you had to accept if you wanted to play with people you didn't know. You can always get friends together and play a game however you want to play. And personally, I kind of found that appealing. But especially with M League, there's been really a movement to clean up the game of Mahjong. So most parlors now, you cannot gamble, you cannot smoke, and you cannot drink.
That's interesting because my image when we talk about mahjong parlors, and maybe from old movies that I've watched, are these very smoke-filled parlors with men sitting around the table, mostly men. I imagine that there's probably less women, but I may be wrong.
No, that's right.
Smoking, drinking, and maybe sitting in tank tops in a sweaty summer in Hong Kong or something like that, and then just kind of making bets and gambling on the game.
I mean, a lot of the parlors were like that when I started. And maybe not that seedy. A lot of smoking, though. Smoking was always okay. Like I said, they were always playing for something. I can't say that too loudly, but it was really hard to find someplace. I think there's only one really no-rate mahjong parlor you could go to. And that was just normal, and it was accepted. And I mean, I don't really know all the workings, but something similar to the toque shops, the, pachinko. You don't win money, you win cartridges, and then you sell the cartridges. It's similar sort of loopholes to that.
But that kind of changed when the M League was created, so Mahjong League.
So yeah, anyone drafted to M League has to sign a contract saying they will not gamble. And one of M League's massive goals is to make Mahjong an Olympic sport.
Oh.
So they want it to be clean, and they want it to be something that families can watch, that they can recommend to children.
So kind of like more leaning towards, let's say, playing chess or Go and these kind of like strategy games.
Yeah, so the difference is because it's a game of incomplete information. So I guess it might be a little bit more similar to something like backgammon. Also, with poker, there's a huge movement to make it a mind sport and not necessarily gambling, both from a legal aspect and also there's talk about that becoming an Olympic sport as well. So it's really similar to poker as far as culture goes.
So this M League, is it a Japanese league or is it a worldwide?
It's a Japanese league.
Okay.
So J League is soccer, M League is Mahjong League. There are 5 major Mahjong professional organizations. And as long as you're a member of one of those organizations, you qualify to be drafted to M League. So M League has teams, they're sponsored. They wear uniforms like this with sponsors all over them. This is not M League's uniform. I'll talk about this later. But they're drafted, they get a salary. They play for 1 year on the team. The winning team gets a cash prize.
Cool. So you mentioned that you met a friend and that introduced you to someone else who was a professional player at the time. And was this when you started thinking about becoming a professional player yourself?
Yeah, I think I read a book. So I was learning Mahjong. I was telling all my friends, I'm learning Mahjong, let's play Mahjong, to see who would play with me. One of my friends recommended a book by Kojima Takeo, who was called Mr. Mahjong, probably the most famous and legendary Mahjong player ever. I think he passed away around 6 years ago, but I read his book and I wanted to become a pro. And it just so happened that somebody in my club, his older sister, was in the same league as Kojima Takeo. So she came to play with us one day. She said, if you want to become a pro, I'll introduce you to everybody. She introduced me to everybody. And they said, join the league. And they joined the league. They put me in a video game. It was all like very fast. I think it was about from the introduction until I was in the video game and in the league. Must have been less than a year.
What do you mean by in the video game? Is it like an online or platform-based video game where you became like a character of, or what do you mean by that?
So Konami has these consoles in Mahjong arcades called Mahjong Fight Club. And it features professionals from the Japan Professional Mahjong League. I think now there's about 70 or 80 pros in it. I was just released from it in March, but from 2006 until March of this year, I was a character in that game. They also have an app for the phone, and I'm still a character in the app. But
Cool.
they rotate out, older pros and let younger pros in for the arcade. So if I start winning things and become really popular, they might put me back in, but I have to.
That's kind of cool that you join a league and within a year you're part of a video game. Yeah. It makes you really feel like you're suddenly part of a full community of people that are passionate about something and want to take this, let's call it a sport. Can we call it a sport?
Yeah, I mean, it can be mind sport. Yeah.
And that, I imagine that kind of only increased your motivation to kind of keep going down that rabbit hole of like, oh, well, I can make a living out of this.
Yeah, I mean, at that time I was making a living off of Mahjong. I was also on TV a lot. I was on like semi-regulars on TV shows, like variety TV shows. Mm-hmm. And that was my entire living. I wasn't doing anything else. The video game, it wasn't just that anybody could join the video game. One of the big things was that I was on TV a lot. And also because my friend Garth, who joined with me, and I were rare. So there were no other Americans in the league. There were no other Westerners in the league at all. There was, I think, 2 Chinese women, and that's it. Everyone else was Japanese.
Is it mixed? Do men and women play against each other, or is it like separate?
It's mixed. We do have women's leagues as well that are separate because the men's population is so much bigger. So they want to give more opportunities for women to just have a statistical advantage to win titles. So we have some women's leagues, but most of the tournaments are mixed.
That's interesting. It's one of the very few, I think, competitive mind sports or sports where everyone is mixed into one.
I don't know about other ones. Is chess not mixed?
I don't believe it is. At least to my little knowledge of chess, I don't think I've seen on the news or TV any matchup of men against women in a professional context. What does your life look like at that time? You just were in university, you joined a club, suddenly you become a professional Mahjong player, you're in Tokyo, and you graduate from Sophia University, and you said you make a living from this. What do your days look like at the time?
Well, excuse me. I started doing TV work in university. I graduated in 2005. I took the test in the fall of that year and then joined the league in 2006. Also in 2005, I got married for the first time. So it was very much just playing Mahjong all the time. I did sort of work for a company, but that didn't last very long. And then when I got TV work, I was on TV. Also in 2006, right after I joined the league, I studied in Taipei for 6 months. And I was traveling back and forth for TV and commercial shoots. And then after that, it was really just all Mahjong all the time.
So you wake up, practice Mahjong, prepare for some professional games, study Mahjong.
Yeah, we had a lot of study sessions back then because I knew a lot of other people who were kind of just starting as pros. So if I was invited to a study session, I'd go to that. I'd play the video game a lot. So I'd usually wake up and go play the video game. And then in the evening, I'd do whatever we had to do, whether it was a tournament or a TV shoot or practicing, whatever it was.
Do you remember the first tournament you participated in as a pro?
I guess it must have been Pro League, which happens every month. At that time, there weren't that many tournaments. So it would have been Pro League. And I remember I was with a woman that we called Nakko. I don't remember her real name. But she was a really, really strong player. Like, she would have gone to the top if she stuck around. And she just kept winning and winning and winning. And I didn't. That's all I really remember from it.
Did you see this as like, oh, this is like a complete career opportunity for me, or were you kind of still like on the fence? Because you've been doing this now for basically 20 years. But at the time, was this something that you were seriously considering as like, oh, I'm just going to do Mahjong from now on?
I mean, yeah, as soon as I joined the league, that was
it.
That was my understanding of it. I mean, I thought I would continue with TV work. and then play Mahjong.
You said at the time there were not too many tournaments, maybe once a month. So how did it work then, and how does it work now?
So at the time, women pros mostly were guests at Mahjong parlors, and that's mostly what I did as well. So Mahjong parlor invites you to be a guest. You play for 6 to 8 hours. They pay you a fee, and then you go home,
Oh,
like a
so
guest appearance fee. So that's where I made most of the money, and then also you get paid to be in the video game and any other appearances that the video game had a lot of like live shows at arcades at the time. So I traveled all over Japan and we'd go to the arcade. They'd set up 4 machines. We'd do a talk show, and then we'd have a time where the guests could play against the pros on the machines, actually in the arcade.
that's really cool. So being a pro basically means you get hired to appear in parlor, and then people will know, oh, the pro is here today.
Yeah.
You can play against her,
Mhm.
and that will attract more viewers. You get money, the product gets money, and then you were traveling around all over Japan to do this.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. I wish I could still be doing it, but I'm not quite as popular now as before. So I've moved on to different aspects of being a pro. But at the time, yeah, that was basically, I mean, I guess I'd probably travel every weekend for the game or for parlors or something.
If you're a pro, I imagine there's an expectation of you being like at a certain level better than amateurs. How big is this gap, considering you said it's a game of incomplete information? And I imagine there are amateurs that are maybe having a full-time job, but that are super passionate and also probably really good at the game.
Yeah, especially for women, and especially when I joined, it wasn't quite as big of a deal. I mean, it was more like an idle sort of job. So you join and then you practice and get better. And they don't necessarily hold you to a certain level. It's more like, I mean, they had oshi. So
I see.
you had certain fans that would come, and some of them would follow you different places in the country. I had some fans from Osaka that would come to Yokohama to play with me. Or
You said that in Osaka at the time, especially, 3-player mahjong was super popular. Did you notice a lot of differences when you were traveling? That the style was so different that maybe it was also a challenge for you to kind of adapt to a different kind of mahjong?
well, every mahjong parlor you go to has different rules. So when you
Every
go
parlor.
into the first time, for the first time, they sit you down and they explain the rules. So there's one basic set of rules, and then there's small variances and options, like you can use red fives or you can not use red fives. You can have this thing called shiropochi, where there's one white dragon tile that is a wild tile. And the wild tile could be after you reach, it's always a wild tile if you draw it, or it's only a wild tile the first turn after you draw it. Or there's all these very small nuances and different rules that differ for each parlor. So you really just get used to learning what all the nuances are and hearing the rules when you sit down.
That's kind of tricky because you might be used to playing mahjong a certain way, but then when you sit down at that parlor, you need to remember that, okay, this tile I can't use in the way I used to.
Yeah.
Wow. So you started with that, you travel around the country, you play at the arcades, you play at the parlors. That's how you make a living mostly. And then you have the tournaments as well.
Yeah.
How is that league structured? Is there a ranking by player? You mentioned there are teams as well. How was
So
this organized?
M League is a team league. So one team member plays in each game that the team is scheduled for. Most of the leagues are, and most of the tournaments are really structured as they're all individual, and they're structured as things that you win and you move up, or you lose and you go down.
Mm-hmm.
So the pro league happens once a month for 5 months, and that's twice a year. So twice a year you have a chance to move up to the next league or drop down to the league below. That's the main pro league, and that's the one that all pros are expected to play in.
How many pros are in that league today?
In the Japan Professional Mahjong League, now there are over 1,000 pros.
1,000.
Yeah.
And
So
only one
for
at the
most people,
top.
yeah, most people it's a hobby. For most people do not make a living from it. You have to pay to play in the league, and out of those 1,000, only 70 are in that video game, and the video game is the most lucrative. Now there are a lot more opportunities for like commentary and reporting because now there are a lot of YouTube channels. So it has changed a lot since when we first started. And a lot of pros like have their own YouTube channels and their own content as well.
So you actually just were at the big tournament. We are recording this now. It's middle of July, and early July there was the World Championship.
Yeah, the World Championship.
You've got the shirt from it with your team, and that was in Tokyo this year. It's actually an international competition. So I think the previous one was in Vienna, and before that,
Las Vegas. Yeah, and before that, Paris.
So it's moving around. So it was a big thing for it to be here in Japan. Can you tell us about that experience?
What is Japanese Mahjong? And despite being Japanese style Mahjong, this is the first time that the World Reach Championship was ever held in Japan. So the very first one was held in Paris in 2014.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Japanese Mahjong, first time it's in a World Championship, it's done in Paris. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a big reach population in Europe, and it's growing. There's a big reach population in America, and it's growing. So the World Reach Championship started, I think, must have been 2012 or so, when a Dutchman, Martin Rep, came. He had this idea before. I'd been speaking to him about it since 2008. And he finally came to Japan and spoke with an English woman, Gemma, and the president of the Japan Professional Mahjong League, Moriyama. He may have been vice president at that time, but now he's president. So all these minds got together in Tokyo and decided, let's have a World Reach Championship. And a group called TNT, which is a Reach Mahjong group in Paris, that they will host it. And that's what happened. So we just put it all together. And since then, Gemma has become the president of the World Reach Championship. And I actually taught her to play Mahjong in Taiwan when I was studying for that 6 months. I joined JPML. I went to Taiwan and studied. Halfway through my study there, Gemma came to Taiwan, and she came over to my house every week to learn how to play Japanese-style Mahjong.
And so all it took was for a few people to get together, decide to do this, and then since it's been kind of going on, you mentioned growing number of players in competition. It's one specific type of Mahjong with its own set of rules. Is there crossplay sometimes where you would play against, I don't know, people that play Japanese style Mahjong or American style Mahjong, or are they all usually like kind of separate, or can players come play Riichi Mahjong, like a Chinese Mahjong player, professional player may join this championship, or is that not possible?
So there's one style called MCR, Mahjong Competition Rules, which is the Chinese style and the style that China is trying to kind of promote throughout the world. There are a lot of players that play both MCR and Reach. There are not that many players who play both American and Reach. American style Mahjong is so different, and the community is very separate. So there's not a lot of crossover there. There's a lot of crossover between Chinese Mahjong and Japanese Mahjong, or Taiwanese Mahjong, Filipino Mahjong. Like each region has its own rules. So, but Japanese Mahjong has really gained popularity since the pandemic, I think.
So you gathered players from all around the world to come in Tokyo here this year in July. How does this competition unfold? I think it lasted for about a week. How many players participated?
200 and something, 70 something. I can't remember the exact number. Almost 300 people played in the individual competition. And I think if you add in the teams competition, because some of the people only played in teams and not in individual, it was probably around 300 total.
Did you play in the?
No.
So you kind of went as a commentator and organizer and.
Yeah. So I played in Paris and Las Vegas and Vienna, and back then you kind of could just sign up and say, I want to go play. Now the population has just exploded so much that you have to win qualifiers to play. And the qualifiers that I could play in as a professional in Japan there are only 6 slots. And like I said, 1,000 pros just in my league. There's 5 major organizations, and they were all vying for those 6 spots. Most players from Japan were invited. If they're in M League, they're invited. If they're in the A1 League, Pro Leagues in their organization, they're invited. So I was not invited. So I tried, and I didn't quite make the cutoff. But instead, I was in charge of English commentary. And this is the first time we've ever had English commentary throughout the entire World Reach Championship competition. Or
Even
any
when
competition.
it was done abroad the first few times?
In Paris, we didn't have any commentary. I think maybe the final table had Japanese commentary. And that's it. In Las Vegas, we did a kind of live commentary show. Everyone was in this restaurant in the hotel, and they had it on the big screen. And Garth and I did English commentary for it. In Vienna, we did online commentary only for the final table. So this was the first time we had full English commentary throughout the entire event. And I was in charge of all of that.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Must
cool.
have been a lot of work for a whole week to kind of be witnessing so many games. And so I imagine you basically have cameras set in a way that you can see all the players' hands and you know what's going on, and you comment on what tiles they discard, which tiles they keep, what they're probably trying to do, and so on.
Yeah, so English commentary, we started this project a year ago. So we've had some English online commentary for certain events, like certain companies have events and stuff, and they've had some English commentary. We started professional English commentary on professional matches, 1 year ago on the World Reach Championship YouTube channel with the Sankei Shimbun Cup, which is a women's team league that happens in Japan. And it happens about once a month. And so they have a Japanese commentary. So we got their feed and we added English commentary to it. So this was an extension of that. This time it was on the Japan Professional Mahjong League English channel, which we launched at the end of April. And it was the same thing. They have the Japanese feed, and they shared that feed with us. So they had the Japanese commentary. So we're commentating on the same games, but in 2 different languages. So they had 2 featured tables. One was Abema. Abema is an online streaming service in Japan. And then the other one was the JPML YouTube channels. So we were only commentating on this JPML table.
So from morning to evening, you're watching games and commentating on them. A lot to say. How did you see that kind of competition evolve? Is it something you have like favorite players that you kind of know, or he's got a good chance at winning, or is it always full of surprises because it's growing so fast and you have so many new players and you don't really know how good each of them are? You know, they're all good because they're participating, but was it a lot of discoveries for you too?
Well, we were hoping that there would be a lot more diversity at the final table, but the truth is that the Japanese population, just as a whole and statistically, is still a lot further along, a lot more advanced than the rest of the world. That's changing a lot, and people are catching up a lot outside of Japan. But it's still just such a huge difference. There were 3 Japanese players at the final table, 1 player from South Korea. In Vienna, there was actually 1 player from Ukraine, 1 player from France, and 2 Japanese players at the final table. So we're hoping for more of a mix like that. But also there's a lot more Japanese participants, especially since it was held in Tokyo. So statistically, that's just sort of how it ends up. But at the featured tables, they choose a table that has certain players that they think people want to watch. So we have, 60 tables, or that's not math, more 80 tables probably. And they pick 1 and bring that one up to the stage, and those players play on the featured table. So the first 2 days, it's 10 games of qualifiers. So you don't really know the favorites. You watch the standings, but there's a lot of fluctuation. Once you get to the top 32, then you kind of have favorites. You watch the same players for 2 games. So you can kind of watch how they played in the first game and the second game, and watch their whole journey of how they move on to the next round.
Do players typically have a specific style that they always play with? For example, you mentioned some prefer to kind of go with a fast hand, some prefer to go for higher value hands. And you can kind of observe that. Does this
Absolutely.
mean that when you are a player and actually joining competitions, if you know who's participating, you will also study all the other players' styles to kind of know, oh, if this guy's at my table, he's going to try to do something like that. It's a lot of
Absolutely.
information to kind of keep.
Yeah. Well, so in M League, they do that a lot because it's a very small population and they're all playing against each other for an entire year. Also, in the professional leagues, when you get up to high to like A1 league, A2 league, it's only about 20 people that play 10 sessions. So you see those players a lot, and all their games are broadcast. So you can actually watch and study their games on YouTube before you play against them, the next session. There's a lot of style. Like some people go for flush hands a lot, and some people like to go for more sequence hands, and some people like to go for more pairs hands, and some people have really focus on speed, and some people have a more balanced approach where they go for higher hands in the first round and then speed hands in the second round. And there are a lot of different styles. So you can really study the player and know how they play. And that comes out in commentary as well.
So, how was it for you now to not be participating and actually commentating for a whole week and kind of looking at the scene maybe from a different perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be out there. You always want to be out there. I did have a shirt, and these are only given to participants. I was sort of an alternate, which is why I was lucky enough to get a shirt. Um, you always want to be out there, and every time you're watching Mahjong, you're like, "Ah, I want to play. Maybe I'll just get out my phone and play real quick online." But it was also really cool to have so many people supporting the event from outside of Japan. I think we only have 1,000 followers. We reached 1,000 followers with this event. But at one point, because the Japanese feed went down, they came over to us. We had 2,000 viewers at once. We maintained 300 or 400 viewers the entire time, which percentage-wise, from how many followers you have, that's a massive percentage. And it's just so many people came out to support, people from their country or the people they play with in their club. And it was so cool to see the community come together and have a place to come together on YouTube and, cheer on the players, and we could chat with them and discuss with them. And everybody in the community just loves Riichi Mahjong. It's really a massive passion for this game all over the world. And so once you play, you're in the community, you're in the club, and you have friends everywhere. I mean, today I'm gonna have dinner with people from America who came for the World Reach Championship.
Oh, and they're still around, traveling around
Yeah,
Japan.
they went from Tokyo to Osaka, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna be in Osaka, so I'll just eat dinner before I go home."
Cool.
And so, everywhere you go, you can meet with these people. You can play Mahjong anywhere in the world. And to have everyone together in the same chat, and people's moms were coming to watch. We were chatting with moms from Brazil and moms from New York. And it was really, really cool to be a part of that and to kind of be in charge of making sure all that stuff worked.
When you started 2006 to 2008 at the beginning, just a pro league, just a few tournaments here and there. Now there's a world championship that's been around for a little bit over 10 years, happening every 3 years. And it's growing in popularity, English commentary. So where is this kind of going? Are the ambitions of the league, you mentioned reaching the Olympic Games, but with this massive surge in popularity of the game, where is it going? Where's the next World Championship, and how big of a scale are they aiming for?
The next World Championship is going to be in New York.
Cool.
And for the first time, we're going to have a real international professional program. So the World Reach Professional Mahjong program has started. We had a few I think 2 or 3 pros in Tokyo for the World Reach Championship. So to become a professional Mahjong player, you have to take a test. The league issues a test. You take the test. If you pass, then you're in the league. And if you don't, then you can go to like study sessions and maybe join at a later time. So for the first time ever, you can actually become a professional outside of Japan.
Oh.
So World Reach Pro organization has their own test in English, and a lot of them are already in our commentary team on the World Reach Championship YouTube channel. And so they're going to have their own contingency as well at the New York World Reach Championship. So there's, for the first time, there are a lot more resources available outside of Japan. There are ways that people can become professional with the with the Japan Professional Mahjong League English YouTube channel. I'm working really hard to make videos that connect the Japanese pros with players outside of Japan. With the World Reach Championship YouTube channel, we're bringing the English commentary to the players, and it's a place where the World Reach pros can also get that experience commentating and watch a lot of pro play, and we can introduce it to the outside world outside of Japan.
You said earlier that when you see them play, or when you saw them play at the World Championship, you just want to play as well. You want to join, and you might want to pull out your phone and play online. Earlier in our conversation, we talked about the parlors. That's kind of how it started and how it's still popular to play. But online now is also pretty big, I imagine.
Yeah, massive.
Is this adjacent to the professional league, or are games also done online in this virtual context? Or how big of a part does online Mahjong play nowadays in this?
So there are a few Mahjong online platforms. The one that my league runs is called Ronron. And all the pros from JPML have pro IDs. So your picture is on there, your name is on there. And then the users all are like anonymous. They have their own handles. So if you get a Ronron subscription, you can play against pros all the time, basically. Some of the online qualifiers for bigger tournaments are held on Ronron. And the World Reach Online Team League, which started last year, it's a professional and amateur mixed league. So you make your own team of 4, and then you play every Saturday. That's held on Ronron as well. The American Reach Mahjong League, which is not a professional organization, but it's set up the same way as a professional league. So you have A1 league, A2 league. You play for 6 weeks, and you can move up or move. It's more than 6 weeks, sorry, for 3 months, 12 weeks. You can move up or you can move down. That's played on Tenho, which is actually the same software as Ronron, but it's a different skin.
Okay.
There are there's Mahjong Fight Club, SP, which you can play on your phone, and that's the one that I'm a character in. And then there's some competing brands as well, where you can play online outside of Japan.
So pretty big as well, giving people a lot of opportunities to play, like on the go, on the train, or wherever they go.
Yeah, and streaming, a ton of streaming on Twitch, Mahjong.
So you yourself are doing that as well,
Yep.
kind of sharing the passion on Twitch.
Yeah.
Is this something you started along the way, or more recently, or?
More recently, I had played before a little bit on. We used to have a show on Ustream and Nico Nico.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I had played Mahjong on Nico Nico as well. But I think 3 years ago, maybe, I started Twitch and YouTube. I started a YouTube show where we analyze the hands of people who are streaming Mahjong in English with a Japanese guest pro.
Okay.
So it's a way, it's like an educational show where we can also connect the communities and get like real advice from really like accomplished pros to people who are learning.
You talked a few times about the community and how important it is, and from our conversation so far, I hear a lot of passion for sharing the insights into Mahjong and kind of getting people to play, getting people to enjoy it. I imagine that's kind of also what kickstarted you to write a book, Riichi Mahjong, the only way to play to play the game.
Yeah, the only way to play.
When did the idea come to write a full book with a very detailed insight into the game, the rules, techniques, strategies, and more?
So I started writing the book in 2008, and the first edition was published in 2009.
Also very early on already.
So this is the second edition, which came out last year, 2024. The cover is different. I made about 2,000 changes, added about 100 pages. It's a lot easier to publish now. So this is published by Huntington Press, which is located in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
When we did the first edition, you had to publish a lot. So they decided how many they're going to publish in the lot. Once that's done, then you have to decide whether you're going to publish another lot or not. Now it's on demand. So they said write it. When it's done, we'll just take orders basically. So you can basically order on demand at this point. I finished in time to launch the book at Comic-Con in New York last year.
Mm-hmm.
At Comic-Con, we go and we had 16 mahjong tables
Wow.
full the whole time of people learning how to play Riichi mahjong.
So you're going around the tables and kind of showing the ropes to people and giving them advice. And
so we set up lessons. You can take a 1-hour lesson at Comic-Con. So you sign up for a lesson, you come back at your time, and then you get one teacher with 3 or 4 students. And we just start from the basics.
Shall we look at the basics a little bit? I believe you have maybe brought a sample table that we can take a look at.
I brought a gift for you, a Mahjong tile set. So, sorry, you can...
This looks very cool.
Yeah.
So full set of Mahjong.
Yeah.
Do the sets look different when you play different? Is this like a Riichi Mahjong set, or are they all the same? Just the rules?
They're all very similar, but this is a Riichi set. So the Chinese sets for the white dragon, they actually have like a black rectangle, and this one is just an empty tile. So
let's open it and take a look at what we have inside. I'll put it here.
And this is just a very basic sort of beginner set. So once you guys go pro, you're going to have to get something more.
Once I go pro. Wow.
So it's very small, and it's just to kind of learn the basics. It's not that easy to play with for a full game.
So these are all the tiles. You mentioned the different categories, right? So you've got the man, the circles. Mm-hmm. And then we have all the special tiles.
Yeah, those are the honor tiles.
Oops. The honor tiles, and the last ones, which are the bamboo, the sticks.
Yeah.
The designs are really cool. Are they all? Do they all have to be the same on every Mahjong game, or do people get to customize?
Yeah, they're custom sets, and there's small differences with each set. So this is a very typical design.
And you can play this basically just anywhere on any table that you have.
Well, I brought a mat as well, so we can go set up the mat in a little bit and learn some basics as well.
Some basics of Mahjong. And then we have a little bit more. These are the sticks, the points that you mentioned.
Yeah, this is a very small set. So these usually they're about twice this size, but they have different markings to indicate different values. Mm-hmm. So like the one with the 1 red dot, that's 1,000 points. And yeah, basically 3 denominations. This is 100 points. And this is 10,000 points.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this one has, if there's 1 dot, it's 1,000, and 5 dots is 5,000. So basically there's 2 designs in here.
So pretty simple in terms of what you need to play, and very portable. Yeah. I mean, you can just have this in your bag and just bring it anywhere.
Yep.
And then
most people in America, or even in Europe, they go to cafes and play, or they go to the mall and just get a table and play on the street.
Is it popular enough for? I know in the United States, in like parks, like Central Park, you've got these areas where people play chess.
I think
do the same for Mahjong already.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen them in Central Park, but I know that there's some kind of shopping centers that they go to like every week, and some of them are outside or in like big courtyards. There's also now Mahjong parlors popping up in America. The one that we go to in New York is called Sparrow's Nest, and they have auto tables. So in Japan, we're really spoiled, and we don't usually play with sets like this because you have to hand shuffle. And I think maybe in Japan, I played 4 or 5 times hand shuffling. We just don't play at home and hand shuffle. We go to a Mahjong parlor and rent a table for like $20 an hour. Or
okay.
Yeah.
And so then they will prepare everything for you, and you don't need to bring anything.
And you just push a button, the tiles drop in, and you push another button, and the walls come up.
The walls.
Yeah.
We'll have to look at that when we set up the table in a little bit. But you've had a pretty long and successful career in Mahjong so far. Is this
Mm.
something you had envisioned already when you kind of got started and went down this career path?
I envisioned being a lot more successful. So there's a lot more I wish I would have done. I'm trying to play some catch up now. I mean, there was a time during that where I was a single parent for 4 years, and then there was a pandemic, and I had another child right before the pandemic, so I have a lot of excuses for why I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to. But I guess, I mean, Mahjong, you never get too old for Mahjong, really. Not for a while, at least. It's not like most, physical sports where you have a sort of early expiration date. So I do feel like I still have time, but I don't feel that successful personally.
So, what are the things that you still want to do? You wrote a book, you commented on the World Championships, you've played professionally for nearly 2 decades. What are the things that you're like, okay,
I mean, I need a
wanna-
trophy.
You need a trophy.
I need a trophy.
Any trophy in particular that you're after, where people can see you play and maybe in the near future and cheer for you?
I have to make it to. Generally, for most tournaments, you are televised or broadcast on YouTube from the top 16.
Mm-hmm.
So the closest I've gotten recently is the best 32. So 1 round earlier than the broadcast table. If I do make it, then it will be on Japan Professional Mahjong League YouTube channels. And I think if one of us Westerners make one of the best 16 or final tables, then we will also broadcast those on the English channel as well. Personally, I want to do more YouTube. I want to do more content. My editing is so slow that I have 30 episodes of this show, Prost, that we're doing. I've only put up 15, even though I recorded most of it over a year ago. So I want to edit faster so I can get more episodes of those up. And yeah, there's a lot more that I want to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It never ends, and especially with the popularity growing, I imagine you'll have more and more opportunities also to participate in tournaments, comment on tournaments, comment on videos on YouTube, and so on.
And I was so excited to come here. I want to do a lot more of this as well, and talk about Mahjong. Yeah, this is something I've really kind of always wanted to do, is come onto a podcast and talk to people who don't know about Mahjong. Because I talk to people who know about Mahjong every day. But, there's a lot more room in our community.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything before coming, and you kindly sent us a book, so I got an idea of the rules, and I watched some of your videos to get an understanding of how the game works. And here we are, about to try a small kind of game, or to take a look at the basics, which was super interesting. Before we move on to play the game a little bit, I want to ask you if there's something in particular that you wanted to talk about today that maybe I didn't ask you about, something you wanted to get into in and around Mahjong that maybe we didn't touch upon.
That's a tough one. I feel like I talked about most of Mahjong.
We got a good overview for sure, and insights into the many things you've done. Probably more things we could have gotten into deeper. But for now, Jenn, thank you very much for coming and for sharing your passion for Mahjong. We'll put all the links in the description, so people who are now interested in joining the league or playing as amateur and reaching out can contact you.
Yeah, of course. I'm Mahjong Jenn on everything, so it's very easy to find me. I have a Discord channel where people answer questions about Mahjong. You can ask questions, you can get advice of where to play online, or get the book. You can order from me, or you can order in America, or Kindle or whatever.
We'll put all the links in the description.
Yeah, it's very easy to get into it online. So,
and a very welcoming community from everything you've shared. Jenn, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future conversations. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, here are a couple more that we think you'll enjoy. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you next time.